What's good, peoples? This is me. I'm looking at something because something went wrong when I tried to do something. I'm sorry. Anyway, what's good, peoples? Big said, the industry cosign. Back to my latest edition of My Friends Are Better Than Yours. I couldn't find anybody for the last couple of weeks, so this guy happened to come across, and I was like, let me just, talk to this guy. He is a mess. That's why you see mess on his name tag. But his name is Jason Wallace. We'll go and we've known each other for several years. I think we met basketball related activities. I can't remember, but we'll have a good conversation. And for those tuning in for the first time, I've been a so-called journalist for the past 20 plus years, and although I've talked to many celebrities and just done so many different things, for this I wanted to speak to people that I actually knew and that I respected because of what they're doing and what they've done. And it's okay to talk to celebrities, but that gets boring after you do it for so many years. And even though some of the celebrities I have talked to are my friends, my whole thing is, my friends are doing things that you should know about. And we have one here today that I don't want to admit to, but he's been doing this thing for years, and I'm going to allow him to do a little brief intro. And as some of you who look at this regularly know, it goes anywhere. Not that it's anything bad or like off kilter or anything like that, but I have questions and bullet points, and sometimes I don't get to it. But the conversation is always, I hope, intriguing for those watching. So, with no further ado, my man Mess, what's going on, sir?
What's good, man? Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Good to see you.
Likewise. Well,
not really, but Why don't you get the people the kind of brief intro, even though we'll probably talk about some of the things that you might mention, but just to give them an idea so that way they have an idea.
Right. So I was born in Panama, grew up in Brooklyn, East Flatbush, went to Brooklyn Tech. We massive out there. Went to McNeese State University for college, played basketball. I'm 6'8", a lot taller than Said. This is why Said has so many issues with me, because he's always looking up. It's crazy. Played basketball overseas for a number of years. Saudi Arabia, France, Chile, Argentina. Got cut by the Knicks twice. Got to last cut several times. So that was a little tough. Worked with Nike for a good 12 years on all basketball related items in New York City and around the country and around the world, which kind of led me to where I am now, right? So basketball was a vehicle, but the marketing side of it is what really intrigued me, right? And so once I got done playing ball, started, got my 9 to 5, went back to grad school, got my MBA, Purdue University, Boiler Up. And so I've been basically a marketer since. So right now I actually have my own company called Digital Mess Creative. And so we do marketing for brands, campaigns, photography, videography, events, all the good stuff. And then I also started a nonprofit back in 2017 with my partner Tiffany called Honor Humanity. And so we go into underserved communities and we help other nonprofits either raise funds, raise awareness, and then we do our own programming. So lately we've been in Houston, Texas, where she's from. We've been working in Acres Homes community to help them because they're in a food desert. So we've been growing food, educating on the purpose on the uses of growing food, and now we're kind of shifting a little bit. So it's been a busy times for me, but that's pretty much where I'm at. It's quick.
Cool. I mean, we definitely get into a couple of things you've done over the years, and I basically, I guess I want to ask you. I mean, of course, you're like 7'8", so I don't want to ask the obvious question of why did you choose basketball, but at the same time, if that's part of your journey, then we might as well start there, because of course you played basketball in high school and then in college. So what led to your wanting to play basketball outside of everybody teasing you for your height?
I didn't want to play basketball. I was short like you back in the day when I was when I started out. I was about 5'8", 5'9". I was playing football, and then between sophomore and junior year, I shot up to like 6'3", 6'4". And so at that point, you know, they were like, "Oh, you should be playing basketball. You should play basketball." And so my mom's friend, he worked up at the Bronx, and he was cool with the Gauchos. So he took me over to the Chos, and you know, I started there. What's funny is because, you know, you gotta earn it. Like, you can't just join the team. Like, nowadays, kids could just, you know, get on the team. You're good. I was going to the Gauchos gym from Brooklyn, working out by myself in the gym, doing drills by myself for weeks before I even got to even be a part of like the team.
Yeah.
And then finally in the summertime, when the summer started, I got to join the team and I got to start playing. And so, and I liked it. Like, started, you know, I mean, I love football. I love playing football, but basketball kind of like it took over. And then once I got taller and once I started to really be like, oh, okay, this could get me a scholarship. I can get some money, get a degree, use this to get out of the city and go with it.
Especially the Gauchos. For those who don't know, the Gauchos is a New York-based team in the Bronx that literally birthed like so many, actually a couple of NBA players, Ross Strickland. I mean, the list goes on. And the funny thing is, of course, you didn't know this, but damn, what was his name? The coach of the Gauchos lived right next door to me.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave McCollum, right? Dave McCollum.
Dave McCullough, yep.
McCullough, yeah. And he gave me the opportunity, but I wasn't a basketball player, so who was I fooling, you know? But coincidentally, he lived right next door to me. And another fun fact, I did the first ever celebrity basketball game at the Gauchos gym.
Nice.
With Big L. It was somebody, but Big L was the one he performed. Kid Capri. I mean, there was so many celebrities, and like, you know, I set the tone for, you know, I'm not going to say that, but the celebrity basketball, and, you know, because hip hop and basketball, especially in New York at one time, was all anyone ever did. Even if you did something else, you were involved in one. Even if you didn't play, you at least watched or were involved in activities that, you know, because at the time, I mean, you had Mark Jackson, like I said, Ross Strickland, Kenny Smith. You have so many, Malik Sealy. You have so many New York players that actually got into the NBA. And during that time, like, basketball was definitely a thing. And of course, hip hop was a thing. So I know that most of us had eyes on either hip hop or basketball. So that's one of the reasons why I asked you, because a lot of people back then, well, baseball too, because the Yankees was definitely winning, you know, back in the 70s. But you know, them I don't want to sound racist, but them damn Puerto Ricans and Dominicans just overthrew everything when it came to baseball in the Bronx, particularly. But anyway,
well, that's my nickname. So that's how playing ball. So I got my nickname. So 17-year-old Jason, right? Went up to Rucker, 55th, and I was playing on the posse, and so to the basket, layup, and one, dunk, and one. I kept getting and one. So the announcer was like, "Yo, like, he keeps finishing, like he keep delivering. Oh man, we can't call him the mailman because he's too young. We'll call him the messenger." And I'm like, "The messenger? I'm gonna be the messenger? What the fuck is that?" I wanted to be like the warrior, somebody, you know, predator, something tough, but you know, so the messenger, and then, you know, it's stuck, and, you know, mess for short. So you know, to the point, like, you know, we met through Blue, and so and
Blue
and Blue, and I met Blue playing for him, and when he had his team. Mike Tyson put a team in to the Rucker, and that's how I met Blue through Dorian. So the music and basketball, entertainment and basketball, the intersection is well interwoven, you know, in our history, especially late 80s, early 90s, into the 2000s.
I don't know, like, and we may have interacted on record because, you know, I used to coach Said G's team, because I know that in some of the tournaments that you played in, we played in as well. Of course, you was on the opposing side, like throughout the Bronx and Harlem, wherever. Because back then it was like a league on every block, and, you know, everybody played at least in 6 different leagues. I don't know how it is today, but I still don't know how we were able to, like, have like 3 games in a day. And I wasn't playing; I was coaching, and I was tired, so I can imagine the players. But it was, you know, it was a thing.
You split the teams up. you split it up. So you have half your team go to one game and start, while the other team so y'all start the first game, then you get the lead, and then you send the other, that's the second game, finish up, they come over, then they play, and then y'all win the game, or whatever. That's basically what you did. But there was so many good players. Teams were loaded with quality guys.
My teams, I had Malloy, Shane, and the funny thing is during that time was the heat of New York City basketball when it came to just the whole mindset of everybody, especially when it came to the Rucker games. So and one sponsored, well, and it also did, I think you played in a couple of Video Music Box games as well, right? Yeah, because and I coached and organized the Video Music Box team, and one, we were the first team that they sponsored before they became and1 and the and1 mixtapes. So even when I was involved in that aspect, it was amazing seeing the type of players and who played and who went on to the NBA and who did certain things during that time. And like I said, I know that you played in several tournaments, and like you said, you tried out for the Knicks, wasn't good enough. Now let me stop. Sorry. I'm sorry. But I know when you played overseas. Now I know that overseas is a different game and a different mindset, and a lot of players, even some NBA players, got a chance to play overseas. How was playing overseas for you, as opposed to playing in the States? Because I know different rules, different everything. How are you able to do that? And then you played in 5 different countries, right?
Yeah.
So and each country had their own rules, right? Well, I know international rules are different.
Yeah, FIBA
but I know
rules.
that it's style as well.
Yeah, so you got FIBA rules. So FIBA rules, they govern the international, international basketball, and so that's one constant. But the thing is, it was definitely different. So in Chile, right? At halftime, everybody's in the stadium. They all smoking, so they all smoking cigarettes. So you got this cloud of smoke hovering over your head. And, you're trying to play this game. Saudi Arabia, we'd start playing, and then we got to stop because they got a prayer. So it be games where you start playing, and then maybe middle of the first half, stop, they go pray. So at first, I would just go in the locker room and just wait, and then now you got to warm up again, and you got to get started. After a while, I just went to pray too, because it just made sense. France was interesting. That was my last stop. Just a lot of politics, just playing, man. And I think that it was very mentally, it was tough because you're always being tested. You're always being people always trying out if they were going to jerk you as far as pay. Because again, you got to think about it. You're in somebody else's country, you're staying in their apartment, you're at basically their whim. And so you had to trust that your agent was going to put you on a team that was going to take care of you. And, I've definitely heard of stories of guys getting jerked. For me, my last team, I literally sat in Charles de Gaulle, and this was right around 9/11. So this is right after 9/11. So you can imagine Charles de Gaulle airport, everybody's got they got the big guns walking around. And, after my time, I'm waiting for them to change my ticket so I can come back to the States. I literally sat in the airport an entire day. And I wrote out everything I had done up until that point in basketball. So I was content with my career at the time. I gave it my all. Again, getting almost to the NBA and then going overseas and playing and being able to see the world, playing for the national team twice. Things that a lot of people have never done. So, but I was still with Nike. I was still involved with Nike, and Nike, because of N1 and what they were trying to do, Nike wanted to say, well, we not doing trick basketball, we're doing real basketball. So we started, we did it for real. So that kept my love for the game. I actually grew it because at that point, you're kind of disillusioned, this is some bullshit, And now here I am making more money on the marketing side, going around the world, doing, tours with Vince Carter and, hanging out with Rasheed Wallace and, doing all kind of activations and getting paid for it, right? So that was pretty dope.
So how did you, since you mentioned Nike, because Nike was one of the things I was going to talk about. How did you hook up with Nike? Because you worked with them for several years, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So they saw me at 55th. They saw me. So if you remember, they had an all-star game. It was like they had the all cotton club. So they had like that's what it was called. So they had like all my guys on there, and they had a dunk contest. And I didn't win that dunk contest. And so Jerry Razmi, who was the brand manager at the time, he was like, "Yo, like," she was like, "Yo, like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this dunk contest at Cipriani, and so I want you to be in it." So I did. So I actually won that one, and the we were gonna go to the All-Star because it was called the People's Jam. So at the time, if you remember, at the time NBA All-Star was getting very corporate, pretty much like how it is now. And so they were like, they wanted to do something different. They wanted something where the people could be involved. And so it was this People's Jam dunk contest. So before the dunk contest, we went to Toronto to shoot at the Dr. Funk commercial. So it was like the one that was like out in Rucker Park and Barbito was announcing and stuff. So, we do that commercial first. And, Vince, I'm like, yo, can you teach me your reverse 360? So he does. And so, we're in the back there, we dunking, we're going back and forth. And I was actually his body double for like for all those commercials. So we got pretty cool. And so fast forward, we get to the dunk contest and he's a judge. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna take you back. So as you said, we played in a lot of tournaments. West Fourth was one of those tournaments. And West Fourth All-Star, they had a dunk contest, and like the winner of the dunk contest got a big ass trophy and big ass TV and got bread. So Conrad McCray, God rest his dead, Rad had won the dunk contest a few times. And for this All-Star, I was like, I'm winning that dunk contest. So, and I literally, Dorian was just talking about this the other day when I seen him in LA. So that whole day before we went to work out together, I think we had a game somewhere, and then we had the All-Star game. So me and Rad was together the whole day. We get to the dunk contest. I'm just killing it. He's just doing his thing. Now he takes a director's chair, he puts it by the basket, has somebody sit in the chair. He gets a basketball, he lights the ball on fire with nail polish. He jumps on the side of the chair. He didn't jump over. He jumped on the side, took it, missed. They was like, oh, crazy. I'm like, he ain't do shit. I bet. He lights it again. He dunks it. They're like, oh, this is crazy. I jump over like 3 people. He wins the dunk contest. We driving home. He looks at me. He's like, yeah, man, you beat me. I'm like, yo, give me the trophy. Or the TV. What? You sell? He's like, nah. So, and then, God rest his dead. Then Red passed away, right? Yeah. So, so to honor him, I said, I'm going to light the ball on fire and I'm going to do what you didn't do. And so, at the time, I had been playing with the Harlem Wizards because, you want to trying to make some money, still playing ball. And on Bernard A-Train, we had a routine where he would, he's dribbling, and then like he would pretend he's going to the basket. He would stop short, drop down, and then he'd bounce the ball high. I'd jump over him and dunk it. So for this dunk contest, it was me as a dunker, and then he also had like a dribbler. So obviously A-Train was going to be the guy because he's nice. So I wasn't worried about it. The day 2 days before the All-Star game, they had a game in Chicago, and I don't know why I didn't go on that trip, but the plane had a rough landing, and so A-Train was hurt. He couldn't go, and so my man Chris Franklin, I called him up like, yo, Mr. Handles. I'm like, yo, can you come to DC? I need you. He's like, yo, bet. So he comes to DC, and again, A-Train and I had been practicing the dunk, so we had our timing down, but I couldn't practice it with Chris, and so we were in the hotel, getting the timing down, get to practice. You can't do it in front of everybody, right? So you can't, nothing. So we get to the dunk contest, and Vince sees me. He's like, yo, you got to show me something. You ain't getting a 10. You got to show me something. So it's Vince Rashid and Gary Payton was the judges. First dunk was the reverse 360. I do that. 10, 10, 9. All right. Second dunk was you got to jump. Who could jump from the furthest? So I jumped like 2 steps behind behind the free throw line. I win that. Then, and all these guys are missing dunks left and right because just nervous. You got the whole crowd packed, you know, but being from New York, playing in front of everybody, playing for the Harlem Wizards where you're dunking every day, just, you know, it was nothing. So then finally, the last dunk, I go in the bag, I get the nail polish out, put on the ball, and they're like, what is this guy doing? I put Chris under the, like, at the dots, and I told him, like, just hold the ball here, show the ball up like this, and then when I come running up, just throw it straight up. And that's what he did. So once it was lit, held the ball, and everyone's like, the ball's on fire. He throws the ball straight up, I catch it, and they said the ball stayed lit until I actually dunked the ball. And then once I dunked it, I looked at Vince like, what? Then he was like, you get the 10. So that was that after that, you know, Nike was like, yo, whatever you need, whatever you want, you know, we took off. And great relationship. You know, G took me in, and we, you know, he taught me really like the marketing aspect of it, you know, beyond just like, hey, come do this commercial, hey, come do this tour. It's like here's the plan, here's what the plan is about nationally, here's what our piece of that is, and here's how it's going to drive business, and here's how we're going to, you know, get you guys involved. So yeah, I was like, okay, this is what I could do this. Sure.
Yeah. I definitely got a shout out to Jerry Erasmi. I try to get him to come on here, but you know, Jerry's like, you know, real private. So it's like, I figured he would just do it because, like, you know, we've known each other since like the 60s, but he's like said, I was like, I get it. So I figured I'd just ask anyway. And I had Barbito on here about a little more than a month ago.
Okay.
So, and you know, we had the Nike conversation, and like I said, the one thing I knew about Nike is Nike always took care of people. Because Jerry was with them for like 90 years, you know, and Barbito was there for a while as well. So I know Nike definitely take care of their people. But since like when you started getting the action plans with the marketing from Jerry, like what propelled you to actually, because if I'm correct, you went to Purdue University to get your MBA.
Yeah.
And what set you down a path to then decide to make part of your career marketing? Because like for people that don't understand marketing, because marketing encompasses so much. But what was it about marketing that caught your attention where it now makes you money?
So when I got done, when I was in high school, right, one of the things I always did was I made sure I kept a job. And my boy Mike Williams, he had a placement agency, and so my first job out of high school, I was working in the mailroom at Columbia. And so every summer when I came home from playing ball, I would get a job and still hoop because I always wanted to have some job skills in case whatever happened, right? So when I got done playing, because I knew how to use Microsoft Access, this company was looking for somebody that could build databases. So human resources. So I jumped in human resources. So I started out with Brinks in human resources. And then actually ended up at Columbia, working in Columbia for human resources. So it was like a full summit. But what caught my eye was just like, here you are involved in a sport that you love from a different perspective. And, you know, you're going to All-Star, you're going Italy, South Korea, China, you know, you're going around the world, you're filming stuff, and you're making really good money. And so, and that's on the outside. So I'm like, well, if I'm on the outside and if I'm on the inside, then, you know, I can help drive, I'm helping drive this culture from my perspective. How can I now affect and drive it from inside of Nike? And then everyone I met at Nike was mad cool. Like I'm still friends with people to this day, like that, you know, I met back then. So it just made sense. I was like, how do I get your job? And to a person, they said, go to business school, get your MBA, and then you can do this. And so that's what I did. And yeah, brand marketing, is really about telling stories. And, that's what I do. And if you look at Nike, Nike never tells you to buy something. They never say, go buy these shoes. They put you in a journey of like, you're an athlete, and you're Jordan or talk about Michael Jordan or talk about, LeBron or whatever the case is. And then you feel like you're part of that journey. And then you're like, oh, I do like those shoes. So I'll buy those shoes because I want to be part of the journey. And it's genius marketing. It really is.
Definitely. So when you are involved in the marketing aspects, and like I said, I know that we can literally be here for hours talking about like how marketing helps or what constitutes marketing. But my question to you is, when it comes to ideas and things of that nature, because as you stated, even with Nike in particular, like they've had some great ideas over the years, and it's always the people behind the brand that's always like coming with the ideas. When you do work on something, or are you presented with an opportunity to work with something, like how are you able to pull whatever ideas you have in order to make it work, so that way anybody looking or seeing the whatever, whether it's a commercial, movie, whatever, like what goes through your mind in order to get that? I know it's a skill set, but it's also creativity, because you can have the technical know-hows and still don't come up with anything.
Yeah.
What works for you when it comes to that?
So I'll give you a great example. So right after the pandemic ended, I took a job at Compass Real Estate, right? And so when I first got there, they were like, "Hey, like this is guy Leonard Steinberg. He's a real estate agent, but he has a newsletter of like 50,000 people internally, externally. So every day he puts this newsletter out. So I subscribed, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, all right, cool. One of the things that I was working on was a video project, so I could send a video via email. Like, so you make a video, you send a link on email, they click on the link, they can watch it. I was like, you know what, Leonard, how you doing? I'm Jason. I just started here a couple weeks ago, but I got this idea. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, I'm with it. So I recorded him using the product, right, and creating this video that he then sent out to his entire mailing list. And it was such well received. The CEO now all of a sudden started using the videos to send out to his team, because the point was for the real estate agents to say, instead of like, sending a regular email like, hey, here are my listings, it was like you could go and you could make it real, and you could upload that to the platform and send that out to your database, and then you get all the analytics. So that's what it was. And because I understood this guy got the reach already, I can get in front of 50,000 people in one shot, and it did what it needed to do. And so part of it so then we came back later, right? And so I had another product that I'm launching. And I was like, Leonard, guess what? We're going to do it again. But this time it gave me a budget. So this time I was able to go to one of his penthouses, and we shot at his penthouse. And so I knew, and this was a photography. This was allowed photographers to upload directly into the platform. So, if I go take my pictures, I can just send it right to the real estate agent when they're done, and it goes right into the listing, versus sending it to uploading to the cloud. Then they got to download it and then upload it again. And so being able to shoot that at a penthouse listing in Chelsea, and then basically directing that and making that, again, that product took off. But it was the linear. So the first one was the video, and the second one was his Leonard again, and we got new. So people connected the two, and now they're seeing like, okay, this Compass platform is more than just sending out a cute card or something. And so that's what it really is. Like you have to have it. A lot of people don't understand marketing, right? Yeah. People just think like you can make a commercial or send out some flyers, other cases, but there's a lot of thought that goes behind it, and to be able to execute it in a way that you know is going to be compelling. And a lot of times, again, there's a lot of hits, but then there's also misses.
Yeah,
and so it's like, what do you take from those moments so that you can keep going? And for me, it's like stringing it out, like just building on each moment, stacking each moment, so that people can see, all right, I see where you came from, and I'm see where you're going.
Yeah,
and it all makes sense.
I do know that with marketing, because in our industry, whether it's sports, music, entertainment, there's always spillovers. Like you can do one thing, you're able to do other things because, publicity and marketing work hand in hand, and then promotion and things of that nature. And as a marketer, from my understanding, you're also a storyteller.
Hmm.
So, I'm leading into your filmmaking capabilities, and the fact that you've produced and directed projects previously, and how was that transition? Because I know I'm pretty sure you still do both, because I think marketing, once you become a marketer, even if you go into something else, you still utilize it because it may work with whatever you're doing, even if it's not called marketing. People have called me a marketer because when I used to do my parties, and even when I had my newsletters, I wasn't doing traditional marketing, but I'm still marketing either my parties or whatever I have going on. So I understand the mindset behind it. So how were you able to transition to utilize those abilities you have and take it into like a different realm? Because like I said, it falls under the umbrella of entertainment, but it's still a different aspect of it. How are you able to take that, what you've learned in marketing, I guess as well in basketball, because you still have to know what to do on a basketball court, or while you're doing certain things, like you gave examples with the dunk contest where you got to think about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it practice. So I say all that to say, when it comes into the storytelling aspect, how are you able to transition? And I know this is going to sound stupid, but was it hard?
Uh, so I've always been a storyteller, right? Like I always felt like always been a writer, always been, creating things, being creative, imaginative. I was the only child for a minute, so you gotta, you gotta
You have
figure
no
it
choice.
out, right? And then I have my little brother, but then they ain't really count because whatever. So it was a little bit hard. It was hard, but it really wasn't because um, when my dad got me a camera when I graduated college. He was like, yo, wherever you go around the world, make sure you take pictures. My family started out, Photo Wallace. They started the first photography studio in Panama. So my grandfather and my uncles. So it's in my blood. It's in my DNA. So like, it was just a natural like transition of me being like taking up the camera more, shooting more, and just having these stories. Like I had a bunch of stories that I have written now. I have a bunch of treatments that I have. And I was just like, yo, like, you know, I can't wait for somebody else to like give me the money to do this. I need to start doing it myself. Because like, life is short and you never know, like as a creative, like you have things in you that you want to put out to the world, and whether the world accepts it or not, it doesn't matter. It's out there. And so I started with the camera, and I started with just simple things, like, you start, again, social media is great. You take your phone, you can create a story, create a reel, but then you start creating those moments of like, okay, like, so for example, I went to the Yankee game the other night. All right, so let me show this Hamilton night. So I know let me show all the Hamilton elements. Okay, let me get some at bats. Let me take quick clips of people getting at bats. Jazz Chisholm hits a home run. I missed that. So I'm like, all right, well, I missed the home run, but I got the home run shot. Let me get that in. Here's the wave, right? So people are doing the wave. Cool. So you pull all the elements of the game, and then you sequence them, and now you tell that story of like, yo, you watch the reel, you're like, oh shit, like, yeah, I had a good time. I can see it. And that's what it's about. So when I decided to say I'm going to do the story, I'm going to do this documentary for my boy Renee. Like I knew what his story was because I've been watching him grow from we first met. but there's still the work that you got to do. So you know you have to go and think about a beginning, middle, and end. Every story, everything you watch, you have there's some kind of conflict, there's a resolution, and there's like the opening, the middle, and then the end, right? So for Renee, you know, the opening was like, who is he, right? The middle was kind of like, what's he doing and why is he doing it, and then the end is like, where's it going to go? And so he he makes hats. He's a designer, um, and he's had Alicia Keys, Lewis Hamilton. He's been featured on the Grammys, the Oscars, and for the past 3 years, his collection has been in Nordstrom, and it's sold out every year. Every season, it sells out. He goes to Ecuador, and all the hats are handmade by the artisans there. So, like, just hearing those things, you're like, that's interesting. Yeah. And when you see the hats, you're like, yo, those are some fly hats. Obviously I don't wear hats, but there's some fly hats. And when I hear him, like, he's from Camden, New Jersey. So he's our age from Camden. So you can imagine what Camden was like in that time. So to come out of Camden, be like, I want to do this, go to school for it, do it, reconnect with your roots in Ecuador. And every few weeks, you're going down to Ecuador and you're building your own brand, a luxury brand on top of that. Like, that's a great story. So first had to get his buy-in and got some of his friends to like sit down and shoot, because it's documentary style, and ask them questions. And once I got their questions, once I got the film and the footage, now I can see what the story, how I'm gonna shape the story. So it is hard work. But if you have an idea of where you want to go, like you should, then it gets a little bit easier. You can streamline it and you can navigate it to where it needs to get to.
Now my thing with filmmaking is that, I mean, of course, you know, for anybody involved in it already knows the difficulties of it. And I just can't imagine having to shoot different scenes with different ideas and then trying to make it all work so that way it can be one whole thought, so to speak. And I know that there are different techniques or even different thought process that you and I can film the exact same thing and just have completely different outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when you're working on something or you're working on a project, and as you're working with it, that it's hitting the mark that you want it to hit, or maybe it's not, and then you have to change it? Like, what is it that to you that makes the project complete when it's complete to your liking? Even because, like I said, I've had several filmmakers, and I know it's always a different answer because it's always a different thought process. But for you, like, how do you know that your project is there, even if you're not happy? Because I know a lot of creative people, regardless of how great that they are, some of their best work they're not happy with. I know that because I've done it, and people have given me compliments on something. I'm like, that was horrible. But for you as a filmmaker, how do you know when your project is at least to a point where it's satisfactory to you?
So I think that it's funny, right? You kind of envision in your mind like what this shot is, or where you see it. So I'm gonna give you an example, but this is not a film, right? So I shot a wedding. One of my friends, a judge, and they had the couple. They had no photographer, so she was like, "You want to? Yeah, I bet." So the bride. So this is outside on Brooklyn Bridge. And so I'm looking, I'm looking at the scene and I see it and I'm like, yo, put your hand down with the bouquet. And I get that shot because I could see I knew what I wanted, and I saw the shot and I got that shot. That is their favorite shot. Like, they love, and when people see that shot, they're like, yo, that is. So when I do weddings, like, that is the signature shot for me because it's a fly shot. And so when you take up the filmmaking, you have, you know, wherever you want to shoot, you know, you're like, all right. So for example, like I knew I wanted Renee in this film. We start out in Nordstrom. He's in Nordstrom talking to his buyer, and by the end of it, like he's leaving and he's out. So there's a purpose of that, right? So I'm like, talk to like again, we shot in Nordstrom. We had no permission to shoot Nordstrom.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's yeah.
We shot in Nordstrom. Now when we go back, we're gonna be like, hey, so you know, can we get permission to shoot? But but I knew that I wanted him talking to this guy. And so I just took out the camera, took out the phone, and I got that shot. And I'm like, and as we were going through stuff, I was like, yo, you know what? I want to get him outside. Like I want to get him walking. I want to get him in his hat, but also because like Renee's a fly dude, I want to get the fur. I want to get all of it because I want people to see it. Now also I want you to see on the train, because there's that juxtaposition of like luxury, but this is New York City. Everybody's on the train, right? So you think about those things as like, if I was watching this, what would I see? What would I want to see? And that's where you kind of pull those shots in, right? And you know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And you also can end up with, I mean, I have like hard drives full of stuff where it's like, nah, it's garbage. No, I'm not gonna use that. Nah, that's stupid. But as for the doc, as we got as we went back to Nordstrom, he just put his, I guess that's summer 25. He put those, they were on display. So then I started, okay, let me get some film of that. And then I use that as B-roll. So I was like, okay, well, instead of having us sit there and watch Renee talk, I'll just use it as the B-roll, and I'll use it as people looking at his products, but they're listening to his voice. So it's like once you start to live with the material, you kind of find different ways to like break it up so that it's not all the same. It's not boring. It's like,
it's not monotonous.
It's not monogamous. It keeps the attention. So, you know, it's not easy. It's definitely hard, but I like but I'm different. Like I like my shit. Like, look, if I put it together now, I'm proud of it. If I post it, I'm very proud of it. If I put it out in the world, because again, it took time, and I get people be like, oh, what's that? Nah, fuck that. I'm happy with it. If you like it, you love it. If you don't,
yeah. Now with the quality of just electronics and technology, like I mean, I'm not a filmmaker, of course, but you know, I take pictures as well. I have a Canon T7, right? And I went out and bought the iPhone 16. Now I'm anticipating like my Canon like taking these great shots, and it does, but then my iPhone, when I went to Jamaica, I didn't feel like carrying so much, and I was like, well, let me test that while I'm in Jamaica. The shots I got in Jamaica off my iPhone were probably better. Now, I may have to learn how to use my Canon better. That might be it. But I also noticed because the pixel count is higher, and whatever technology that Apple has put into it, it looks like I actually filmed some of the scenes from an actual camera as opposed to a phone. And the reason why I'm posing that question as far as that, because of course you use whatever equipment you have, but are there times where you know you can get the same quality from your camera from your phone? And if so, does that make you feel a certain way knowing that? And I know, like I said, there's other variables, of course, when it comes to making film. Because for me, it was just a video clip to put on my site and on YouTube as opposed to a production, or it's going to be seen someplace else. So for me, of course, the simplest thing that it can be used for, I'm happy with. But with that, like has there been a time where something that may have cost less or doesn't do as much as something that's bigger, has it ever been substituted, or with the same type of look? Because you have a better eye than I have when it comes to that, because that's your thing. As a regular consumer, you could tell me any and everything. All I know is it looks good or it doesn't. you're gonna know what these pixels should have been this or the lighting on this. Like so, like have you had instances where you use a camera or a phone that's not um as expensive as that $10,000 camera?
So it's funny, right? I have an iPhone. So I got, this is a 15. Yes, I got a 15. I have an 11 Pro. I use my 11 Pro to record most of my stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So so we do a show at Hip Hop Closet, Hip Hop Conversations, that you're going to be on because you said you're going to be on.
The weather's getting better, so I'm definitely going to be on there soon.
So when we first started shooting, I have my Panasonic, my Lumix. So I would set it up on a tripod. I would, set the camera and everything. And so what would happen is, because the conversations would be like an hour, 2 hours, the batteries would die. So I would have to be conscious about, okay, what part can I switch out the batteries? And there's at no point can you switch it out fast enough where you might not miss something. So you gotta just, first of all, you gotta have like 4 batteries set, and you gotta be, sometimes like when you're filming, like, you might tune out. Like you keep focused, you hear it all because you're gonna probably come back and do some, and where you're gonna edit, whatever the case is. But now I'm looking like there was a conversation we had, and there was a Biggie story that we lost because the battery died. And so when the battery dies with it on record, all that data basically it's there, but I got to go send it to a service to get it repaired.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is crazy. So I got my phone, and I would just charge my phone, and I would set it up, and then I would shoot. And the quality is the same, if not better. And so peace of mind in that I'm going to get the entire shot, the entire 1 hour, 1.5 hours, no problem. And then when I edit, so now also because the camera breaks up the files into like 3 or 4 files. So now you got to make sure, all right, I got to put the file, like there's a lot. The phone, you turn your house phone off. Look, everybody said
you're an idiot. Go ahead.
I know. So I use the phone. It's 1 file, so I can just drop that in, and then I do what I need to do. It's a funny story. So we were shooting, and this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was the last one we did a couple weeks ago. And he was like, yo, he said, Kai, I want to come in the shoot. I want to set up my camera, whatever. So he set up 3 cameras to shoot the interview, right? Because it was his show. He has a platform, and like this show, it was a dating show about his dating life, and he had the actors and all that. So we were going to interview the actors and then interview him. So he set up 3 cameras. So you got the 2 cameras on, 2 ISO cameras, like, and then you got the 1 wide shot. So I just got my phone, and I got my mics and everything. We're good. It took him like an hour and a half to set everything up. All the monitors, the audio, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it would take him to edit. But, when I look at it, I'm like, all right, I got all my shots I needed. I was able to edit this thing. And we did it was like a 30-minute, probably like about 35 minutes. It took him another 2 hours to break everything. Like, it took so long. Like I was just like, all right, I'm out. I gotta go. And normally I'm like the last one out, but I was able to just get my stuff, break it down in piece. And so there's a thing about, you kind of got to figure out the efficiencies.
Yeah.
Because again, the cameras, the phone, the phone does everything. And in post-production, I can go find, if I wanted to look like a commercial, I can go find the filters. If I need to look like a daytime soap opera, I can find the filter. You can make it look however you need to make it look in post-production. So you don't need a camera. there's some things that, again, there's definitely some benefits to having it, but I'm comfortable shooting with both. But yeah, the phone, like right now, like I know Apple's like they about to drop the new phone. I'm thinking, okay, well, if I get the new one, then this will be my second. This will be my backup. Now I'll have a really good backup.
Yeah.
But the other, I would say the one challenge though is it fills up. So like I got like a 512 gig.
Yeah.
It fills up. So you gotta literally go through and be like, all right, let me delete the stuff or move it off
Cloud or yeah.
into. And I don't even use the cloud for that. I get the SanDisk in storage, and I just put them on drives because
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
easier to move around with the drives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just had to ask you that because, like I said, it's like I know. I mean, the funny thing is that coming up in media, taking the phone for camera, you look like you shouldn't belong. You don't belong there. But nowadays, I see shit. Even Johnny Nunez uses his phone now, and
yeah,
I'm like, yo, it's like, and I just thought that was crazy because I know anything with technology for anything, whether it's studio, because you don't even have to go into the studio to record songs nowadays, So it's like, you know, but
the phone takes like the raw format, which is the preferred format for
yeah,
pictures. So it takes like Mr. C, they just did the dedication for Mr. C a couple
yeah,
weeks ago. And so I had my camera. So I'm in the front. I actually got my camera. I'm taking pictures. And then like everybody kind of got in the way. And there's no way I could get the shot. So what I do, I took my phone, put it up here because I'm taller than everybody,
of
got
course,
the picture. And then I was also able to like on the phone erase the things that I didn't want in that picture right
yeah,
there. So then I can send it like, oh, here you go. So it's a lot. The phone is very powerful,
yeah,
and you should not have feel any way about like using your phone for profession. Like it's yeah.
yeah,
There was a we did there was a panel I just did for Stephanie Zinneman, Assembly Member Zinneman
yeah,
at Restoration, and I set up my tripod, set up my phone, and I'm filming it. And these guys had they like they big cameras and they setups, but both of them forgot to turn their cameras on. So I don't know what footage they got because they both came running in like da 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 da, turn it on. I'm like, y'all do all that time, y'all did all that, but the human error still is there, and I just got my tripod and I got all the shots I need to get. So yeah,
I just realized before I let you go, I just realized that I failed in what I wanted to ask you, but I'll ask you now because
you're not a failure, said.
thank you. That coming from you must mean something. Um, I know you were just in LA working on a documentary.
So we went to a film festival. So we started the doc. It's called The Art of Renee Montia. It's about Renee's journey, faith, fashion, and fun. I'm sure you know Renee. He's out there. He's partying with us all the time. He's still out there partying. And so I entered the film into the film festival. The Scene on the Scene by What We Watch, which is a platform where they talk about TV and film, right? And so it's the third year of the film festival. So I'm like, all right, let me support. And we aired it out there, screened it, answered questions, and people loved it. So the goal is like 20 minutes, right? So it's a shorter version of where we wanted to take it. I want to expand it to like an hour and a half, because I need to go to Ecuador. I need to shoot in Ecuador, and then I need to pull in more people here to talk about Renee's story. So the goal was to get people excited about it, to potentially find producers to fund it. So really really great. And then again that like I've sat with it for a minute. Renee likes it. He loves it. Other people are gonna love it. People not related to us, so people who don't
Yeah, exactly.
who are not friends or whatever, and to see the reaction and hear the reaction about the film, the excitement of it, and then people coming out afterwards, like running up to us, like, "Yo, this is dope." What do what else you gonna do? Da da da. Like, yeah, that was real.
I know that you have a website called I'm a Mess. No, Mess Runs. No.
That's right. Yeah. So, but yeah, hold up. See if people can see. Wait. Yep. Mess runs.
Okay. So you're still an athlete because with some people it doesn't leave them.
No.
So I know that I've seen pictures over the years and video clips of you running out of your neighborhood because you were being chased and robbed. I mean, of you doing marathons and things of that nature. And if I'm correct, where are my numbers? I try to make it look as if I do research. You wait, 18 half marathons,
Yep.
3 marathons, and a triathlon.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I guess that's one of your passions. So, and I know you have something coming up as well. Yeah, you have something else coming up. So, I guess let's talk about your passion for running and like why did you decide to actually compete? Because there's some people that run to keep fit or whatever, but
Yeah.
I think when you enter marathons, that's a whole different level because there's actual training as opposed to just doing it to stay in shape. So, what is your, I guess, your entry into marathon running, and just like what propels you to run?
Keep going. So, my Uncle Carlos, he built the first computer and database for the New York Road Runners Club, right? So Road Runners is the big club here in New York City, right? And so he was a runner, avid runner, and he came to me one day. He was like, yo, you playing basketball, you're gonna get old, and what you gonna do after you're done playing basketball? And I was like, I don't know. I'll do something else. And for me, something else was playing softball and flag football and playing more basketball and hiking and do all the things. But I didn't really want to run. I was a sprinter in high school, but I didn't want to run long distance because it sucked to me. And like 2016, I think 2015, 2016, I was living out in Phoenix, Scottsdale, and I saw my friends running Brooklyn half marathon, and I seen them getting medals and stuff. I'm like, if those knuckleheads could do this, I definitely could do this. So I signed up, and then I started training. And training out there is actually pretty dope. And this is where pretty much all the elite marathon runners live, is in Phoenix, because it's a desert, it's dry. They out there training. So it's one square block. So from one avenue, from one avenue to the next is a mile. And then from one block to the next block is a half mile. So you could pretty much grid out what you're going to do in your training. So I'm out there doing it. I come to Brooklyn. I'm dying because the humidity is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So you try to run, you're like, I can't even breathe. So I'm running down Ocean Parkway, and this little old man just like just flying by me. And so it was humbling. He was like, yo, like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out. And so
spirit hit.
Yeah, it's like, this is crazy. But the thing is, like, everybody has their own race. Everybody's running their own. Everybody has entered the sport at different times, in different ways, in different shapes. And so you can't worry about who's next to you because you don't know where they came from and where they're going. And so for me, I started to see, get a little older, starting to see some of my friends pass away, and a lot of it is health related reasons. So I was like, I want to be here as long as possible. Like, I don't know what's next, if there's something next. So I'm trying to stay in this lane and be okay. And so, being the competitor that I am, it's like, all right, if I'm gonna do this, let me run this half marathon. Okay, I got that down. All right, let me try this marathon. This is a lot. Okay, I got that down. Oh, there's this thing called a 6-star. So Abbott World, which governs all the marathons, there's 6 major marathons: New York, Boston, Chicago, Tokyo, Berlin, and London. So if you complete those, you get a medal, a 6-star medal. So I was like, all right, if I'm gonna do this marathon, I'm gonna get the medal. And so I did New York, Chicago. I got Berlin coming up. Hopefully, I can potentially get into London and Tokyo next year. And then the last one is Boston. Boston's the hardest one to get into because you either got to be really, really fast, or you got to, donate a lot of money. And so I'm not fast. I'm slow. And so that's the other thing. I really wanted us guys our age to see, like, yo, like, I'm not out there breaking records. Sometimes I run, sometimes I walk, sometimes I jog, I finish, right? Yeah. The goal is to get people to move. Like, you may not want to run, but you're like, all right, I'm gonna go walk around the block, or I'm gonna go do yoga, or whatever the case is. But that's the goal, is to get people to think about the health, because now that I'm running, all right, I need to fuel my body properly. So I can't just eat junk food. I can't be sitting around like doing that. I need to drink more water, hydrate, get the electrolytes in me properly, go to the doctor, something's wrong, make sure that the doctor, is aware. And so all these things out of running is going to help to keep me healthy or be healthier. And so that's really what the goal is if I can inspire one or two people to get out there. And it's funny, it's like, I see people all the time. They be like, yo, Mess, I seen you running, son. Like, I've seen you in 5 years, but I seen that you running. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep posting. Y'all gonna see me out there. So I got the merch, I got the shirts. We sell these shirts to raise money for the nonprofit. Because healthy lifestyle and wellness is one of our pillars. So, it's like, whatever I could do and be the face of it to inspire other people to do it, then yeah.
No, that's a good thing. I mean, I've actually gotten back into my health recently. I try to walk at least 7 steps a day.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke. That's a bar.
Anyway, I do appreciate your time, and I know there's several other things that we could discuss, but I'm sick of you right now. I mean, I know you have, you may have to run or edit or do something, but I do appreciate it because, as I stated, you've been doing your things, and I will never say this in public again. Like, I see what you're doing, and I appreciate that you're still, because, in our industry, people just give up, or they just, like, if something goes wrong, like they just feel the world is over. And I just want to also let people realize that you don't always have to be front and center in order to be successful, because there's more successful people behind the scenes than there are in front. But we've been fooled to think that, especially in hip hop, if somebody's recording a record, they're rich and they still borrowing money from neighbors and friends. But anyway, as I stated, and you're definitely doing your thing, and I'm pretty sure you have more things to do. And I definitely appreciate the Mess Runs aspect, because I have been speaking to people lately about health related issues, because we're not young anymore, and we need to. And I just hate when a celebrity or a good friend dies, everybody gets on there, yo, we got to do better, and then they're at Wendy's like an hour later eating like the $6 baggie or whatever it is that they're eating, and not saying. But as I stated, I appreciate. Let people know how they can get in touch with you, or social media, or anything like that. Is there?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to shut up.
You're an idiot.
All right, so I got a couple of IGs. My first IG is Mess at MESS. Very easy. If you want to see the photography that I do, Shot by Mess at Shot by Mess, and the running site messruns.com, and a nonprofit honorhumanity.org. So those are like the ways. Those are what I do. You need a photographer, a videographer for an event, hit me up. You got a company, you figure out you need some help with marketing, I got you. Work with all types of budgets. And, just say hi, say what's up. Like, okay. Appreciate you, Said. You've been doing, and to give you your flowers, you have been consistent. You have been doing this for a very long time. Like, you've been you've been holding down, you know, pretending to be a journalist, you know, so you can get into all the parties and events for free. It's a great hustle, for real. And I respect it.
Hey, if it works, it works, right?
So, get the media credentials, you good money.
But thanks once again. And for anyone that's still tuned in, as I stated, my friends are better than yours. And when I don't have friends, I reach out to people like Mess, so that way I can have a episode to run by y'all. And for those that find out or whatever, this is also on other platforms. I'm going to tell you offline, Jason, like, where else this will be, because everyone's always asking and they're finding it in different platforms, which I appreciate because it's not just YouTube. But I appreciate you spending time with me today. And is there anything else that you like to discuss or tell people about, or just say before this thing ends?
Yeah, go see a doctor. Get checked out. If you are over 50, make sure you get your colonoscopy. It's super important. Don't be afraid of that. I'm actually working on a PSA about that right now. I'm going to drop. That's really it, man. Just and if your parents are still here, hug them, kiss them, love them.
It's so funny because I literally just made my appointment for my colonoscopy for October.
Okay.
And I'm 57. I waited too damn long.
Should be a second.
Huh?
Should be a second one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And like I said, I just hate that we as Black people are succumbing to things that are preventable. So one of my friends was like, I don't know, I'm scared of those because if you go looking for something, you're gonna find it. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't find it, you're gonna die. So I'd rather take that chance. Like I said, I can't be one of those people that like walking around, everything is fine, and then drop, and then all I had to do was take a particular test, and I didn't. So I definitely encourage people to, and as I stated, I'm on a new health thing, which I'm on like every year, but this time I'm sticking with it. So, I appreciate you saying that because, like I said, it is important.
It is preventable, right? And it's also very treatable. So if something is found, they can easily treat you, right, and they can work with you. I'll be honest with you, that was the best sleep I had in years. The 30 minutes that they put me under, like, and as men, the whole stigma about, oh, I don't want anybody putting anything in my butt. It's like, if you even feel it, like you turn to your side, you talk to the anesthesiologist. He was like, all right, count to 10. 1, 2. Oh, what? Where am I?
You're up. It's over.
Really?
And, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny because the doctor gave me an option of sending in a stool sample or doing a colonoscopy. I'm like, listen, if I have anything, I need for it to be found immediately. I need for it to be taken care of. I don't want to have to take something, send it, wait, come back, this, and then go and take it anyway. So I'm like, you know what? And it's supposed to be every 10 years. Then that means for the next 9.5, I'm good. So, yeah, I appreciate you saying that because, like I said, that's something I definitely just scheduled coincidentally. And I do encourage everybody, especially people around my age, because as young as I look, my body reminds me at several different times that I'm not as young as I appear to want to be. So I do appreciate you mentioning that. So
I did the sample. I did the sample, I think 48. I did a stool sample at 48. And then once I hit 49, because then when I hit 50, then she was like, yo, come in. So I did. And then, So now, again, I got another 5 years. At 55, then I'll go back. But, it's important. And not even just for the colonoscopies, like just having a regular, finding my doctor, she's a Black woman. She's absolutely up. She's absolutely like focused on like, yo, blood pressure's better. What are all the things, let's get these tests in. So you don't get to that point where something's happening, right? And they catch it early. I've just been blessed that I've been, healthy for the majority of my life. And so I want to keep that going because I don't know. We don't know. And I also don't want to be a burden to my kid when I get older. And that's the other side of it. Like as we get older, we slow down, and we are in that phase of parenting our parents.
Yeah.
And so, I watched my dad. He had prostate cancer. Watched him pass. Watched him deteriorate to basically nothing. I don't want that I don't want that for myself. I don't want that. I don't want my kid to watch me do the same. So, yeah, it's like this. So it's it's important. It's really important. Like you only got one life, and like I'd rather know and fight it than not know, and then all of a sudden,
Exactly.
I'm going in there instead of telling terrible jokes at my service.
I'm not going to your services. I'm telling you that right now. Let me stop. So once again, for people that stayed on, thank you once again. Big Said Industry Cosign. My friends are better than yours. And if you feel that I am wrong, show me your friends and I will prove it because your friend might be my friend too. Until next time, peace.